if there's a failure, it's a good thing to take and learn from it. And sometimes that failure opens up something more, perhaps ideas, things to look at closer, to evaluate. It's like, okay, well, that one failed, or that idea failed, or this thing failed. What can we do differently, or what were we missing? And what's the learning to not get that result and succeed? So if there's a takeaway, and this is just outside, not just outside of me and product side, this is in general, and this applies to business and personal, right? What is the failure? Don't sit in the emotion of something negative. Sit in the opportunity as a student and a learner that there's something there for you to take away, to apply and use in the future differently.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My guest here today is Cynthia Petti, who is the COO of ProductSide. Cynthia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. Tell everyone a little bit more about ProductSide, what you guys are all about, who you help, and anything you'd like to share.
Absolutely. So product side, just like it says, we are on the side of product. We partner with companies and product managers to create and deliver better products. So we're not necessarily a school or just a training course. We are there side by side for the learning, the adoption, the execution. So we are the cheerleaders, teachers, expert partners, or trusted partners, we could say, for people in product management or product management leaders as well.
Awesome. And when it comes to that entire process of assisting businesses, is it mostly businesses that already have a large variety of products and you're coming in to help them develop more, or is it straight from scratch as well? Tell me a little bit more about that.
It could be both. It could be both. It could be some company or an individual that has something that's already done and they want to maximize, or perhaps they don't have the flow of product management, or there's conflicts. One team does it this way, another team does it this way. So it varies. It varies at where we come in.
And when we say the word product here, there's many different, I guess, meanings for that. So are we talking e-commerce? Are we talking info products? Are we talking, what's the, I guess, the majority of the work that you guys do?
It's everything from a physical product to software and services. So it's inclusive of all of it.
Awesome. Is there a particular one? This is out of my curiosity. Is there a particular side of things that you are a bigger fan of?
For me personally,
Yeah.
it's not that I'm a fan of one way or the other. I'm a fan of hearing the positive impact that we have with our clients. That is my favorite part. And also when they say, this is so awesome, I'm going to tell so-and-so, and then we hear how they heard about us. That's my favorite. It's just being able to help and be alongside our clients to grow and maximize their product management.
Awesome. And what would you say is maybe the biggest mistakes people and companies make when they are trying to develop a new product, trying to work through the product management and figure out the right pieces to put together, but they can't seem to do it efficiently? What do you think are some of the biggest things there?
Oh, wow. That's a really big question, because everyone's going to have something different that gets in their way, that may be a roadblock. So it could be anything from planning, what's the time, resources, budget, having stakeholder or alignment, right? The product that they're working on versus the business outcomes. Is there alignment? If there's alignment, then the likelihood of getting that support increases. So there's a variety of different things that pop up.
And would you say that analysis, because looking at it from an outside lens as someone who is not an expert in product management, there's the first thing that came to mind for me is the analysis paralysis that a lot of business owners or business leaders might have when they are trying to make these decisions and create something new. Do you find that that's a big aspect of that obstacle for them as well?
Well, it could be something along the lines of, I'm going to put it into a different perspective of,
Sure.
leaders are really set on having one specific feature
Mm.
And perhaps down the line on the roadmap, that wasn't something that was in their roadmap. So are you having to shift to accommodate one thing or two things? Does that answer your question?
It does. So it sounds like they are usually always they're set on the fact that they want this one thing, no matter what's going to be around this specific product. And if that one thing isn't there, anything else doesn't matter to them.
Well, and yeah, and the other big thing to account for is having interviews with your clients. Who are your users?
Mm.
Having those open conversations and understanding their pain point. Because if you're creating and developing and releasing something or providing a service, you want to know what is the pain point that we're addressing for our user.
Mm.
That's the piece that, or are we just building it because it's cute,
Mm.
right?
That's
We
it.
want it to solve we want it to solve something that the market is asking for.
Yeah, I think that's such a key point because companies build products to serve their customers, but oftentimes there's this like, yeah, look, this sounds like a great idea without actually checking the market first. And this actually reminds me of a conversation I was having with someone else where, especially in tech, where there's so many exciting ideas, but then there's no validation of those ideas. Is this something that they actually want? And you mentioned interviewing your customers, which I think some of the best companies do this just to be able to get that knowledge and constantly improve, constantly innovate. How do customers usually find out about you guys as they start coming through the process of working with product side?
Sure. So sometimes they find us online. We have a lot of webinars, so it'll be through that, or it'll be referrals. Sometimes sometimes we're invited to go RFPs to go ahead and put down quotes. So there's a variety of ways that people find us. We've seen, this is interesting because we're, now with an age of AI,
Mm.
we've heard that, oh, I asked AI in the chat, right? Whichever one, like what's the great, which one, what's a good product learning for me to take. And a lot, as we've gotten feedback that sometimes it's AI that's telling them this. So yeah.
Interesting. Whether they reach out to you from ChatGPT, from Claude, from whatever it might be, right?
Whichever one, I don't know. I don't ask which one. It's just exciting to see that that's happening.
Yeah, that is quite exciting. It's interesting to see how there are now so many new ways of acquiring customers that people can actually not depend on, but add to their channels to keep growing the business, which is pretty awesome. And how long have you been with Product Side again, Cynthia? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh goodness. So this is my second tour.
Mm.
I was Yeah, I was here with the founder of what was 280 Group, now Product Side. So I worked with him for about 3 years, and then I went away for about 15 months or so and then came back. So it's been a while. It's been a while. I think if you add them all, it's about 10 years.
Yeah, I did recall something along the lines of 10 years. I just wasn't quite sure, so I wanted to just double check. What would you say are some of the difference between the challenges you faced in your first tour, as you were working with the company, to the challenges that you face now as you're currently working and keeping and trying to still keep that growth coming?
So when you say challenges, tell me what you mean by challenges.
Good. Yeah, thanks for clarifying it. What I mean by challenges is the challenges in the growth of the company. So that could be client acquisition, that could be internal hiring, that can be whatever is something that stands in the way of you and the goals for the company.
Okay, so I can say this. For my first tour, I would say we lived in a world. So just to put it in perspective, this is before
Sure.
2020. Okay. And my first tour, you could say things were regular business, right? Let's grow our business, get our SEO, let's look at our marketing, let's get our testimonials, let's deliver, check in with our clients, right?
Mhm.
Normal business.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic hit. Forget what you knew about normal or business, as far as, let's say, what are the case studies? There were no case studies for us during that time.
Mm.
So since then, there's just a lot of, you really have to be focused, adjust, and listen to what is going on
Mhm.
in the market, right? That I feel like today there's a lot more nuances that come up. It's like, oh, well, there's that shift. So when we talk about what challenges, we removed the walls, right? We're no longer in one office setting.
Mhm.
We're removing those walls. At first, it seemed like a challenge, right? Like we're so used to coming into the office, seeing people day to day, being able to mentor, coach, align, have meetings in person, versus now we removed those walls, which means we have the opportunity to work with people not just in our locale.
Mhm.
We can work with people and join the team in different states,
Mhm.
different countries, perhaps, right? So there's one thing that was a challenge, but you find a solution, right? And you look at the positive on that.
Sure.
Another challenge would be, I mean, when we went from quarantine, it's like, okay, in person, we're
Yeah.
not going to meet in person, not only just the office, but in delivering some of our services, right? So that was new, having to deal with and understand what the requirements were in the municipalities when things were opening up. What is the requirement? What do we need to do? So it was the
Mhm.
compliance and governance based on something we've not ever had to manage,
Yeah.
right? And we wanted all of our
Mm.
team to be safe. Health is a big issue, right?
Mhm.
So that was one, and then and we had to ship. So we're delivering these services not necessarily in person. So let's create and put together something where we can exchange
Mhm.
and do delivery of our service in this manner as what you and I are doing right now.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I don't know where you're at.
Yeah. And I don't know where you're at, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. That it's so I mean, now it's so normal, but if you really think at it I guess the entire aspect of it, we can literally speak with anyone anywhere on the world at any time, any place. Doesn't really matter as long as there's an internet connection. It's possible, which is kind of bonkers. Which there's so much opportunity for that, but there's also so many, I guess, processes that can get like stuck in between in the way because there is so much nuance and little intricacies with online work as well. Are you guys fully only working within the US, or is it global?
Global.
Do you find that it becomes a little bit more difficult to manage team members, possible projects, and anything that goes on with the business's operation being a global company, or that actually facilitates things on the opportunity side of those, I guess, challenges?
So we're really good as far as asynchronous communication. There's always an opportunity to be better, to communicate better, especially with so many different modalities. Are you a Slack user? Are you an MS Teams user? Do you have a preference
Mhm.
to hit the Zoom to MS Teams to Google? To get to it, one is strong asynchronous communication, so that's really great, and having a few hours, having some overlap time so that
Mhm.
there is the opportunity to meet live,
Mhm.
because sometimes you can do something in 10 email exchanges or Slack, I don't know, however many exchanges, but if you talk live, maybe it's a 2-minute solve.
Yeah.
It's a 2-minute conversation.
Mhm.
So that varies, and also with our clients, we definitely adjust to their needs as far as time is involved because we that's what we need to do,
Mhm.
and we travel and or are delivering services on their local time.
Mhm. Is there anything, Cynthia, that you wish you knew before you started this entire journey, or maybe you restarted the entire journey with product side? They're like, oh, if only I had known this lesson or known this specific advice from someone, or this the experience that I went through, it would have made things so much easier where we are now.
Oof, there's a lot, but I will say this, what stands out is if there's a failure, it's a good thing to take and learn from it,
Hmm.
right? And sometimes that failure opens up something more, perhaps ideas, things to look at closer, to evaluate. It's like, okay, well, that one failed, or that idea failed, or this thing failed. What can we do differently, or what were we missing?
Mhm.
And what's the learning to not get that result and succeed.
Hmm.
So if there's a takeaway, and this is just outside, not just outside of me and product side, this is in general, and this applies to business and personal, right?
Hmm.
What is the failure? Don't sit in the emotion of something negative. Sit in the opportunity as a student and a learner that there's something there for you to take away to apply and use in the future differently.
That's awesome. I think that also ties back to what you said earlier, which is the focus. What is the thing that you're going to be focusing on, the failure or the lesson that can be taken away from it? So that's really, really awesome. I really like that. So knowing that one down. And then I have two more questions here for you, Cynthia. One is a question that I've actually been asking everybody because I think it allows people to just have a lot more room for thinking without any limitations. So we'll start with that one, which is this. If you had, let's say you had a amazing magic wand, and you could wave this great wand and solve just one thing in the business that would make hitting your growth goals much easier. What's that one thing you would like to solve in the business?
Oh, well, I would love an endless supply of top of funnel leads.
Okay, how so?
Uh, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise today, right? If you gosh, I forgot what I was doing. I think I was watching just having some TV on, and now I think if you're on watching like Fire TV and it's paused, eventually you get some advertisements, right?
Mm,
So, I don't know, 10 years ago, you had to show up maybe 10 to 17 times in someone's advertisements, you could say, right? Before they make a decision or a line. It's like, oh, okay, I know them, right? We have a shorter attention span today. And we just have to repeat that message and get in people's view and showing the value of who we are. So in our I mean, I have a short attention span. I scroll, I go through things. It has to make an impact. So that is huge. That's why I honestly like, yeah, give me that magic wand. Let me wave it right now.
wave it. I always like there's the either the button or the wand, but like, oh, one sound cooler because it sounds a little more magical, so we'll stick with the wand. Yeah, thank you for answering that. And then the final question that I have here for you, Cynthia, it's actually not a question from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had no idea who you were.
Okay,
Are you ready for the question?
let's hear it.
Awesome. So here's the question. With there being such a saturation of courses and trainings in today's market, how did you find yourself differentiating and how the business stands apart?
So that's a really good question, right? We were just talking about that. How do you
Mhm.
stand out against the crowd,
Yeah.
right? So what we're doing is we're leaning into we're not just trainers. We're not a teaching house or school. We are experts in product management that have shown value, have executed, are not lecturers. They actually get in there and do product management.
Mhm.
So, how do we share that and highlight the value and the knowledge and expertise of our consultant and trainers is showing them and having them on conversations, showing people in webinars and having them share knowledge. So, how we differentiate and stand out is highlighting our expertise, the partnership that we bring in,
Mhm.
and sharing about the successes we've had.
Mhm. Awesome. Very, very cool. And I think it's so important too because so many businesses have such a great track record, but they completely neglect it. And it's like, hey, come, we have feature one, twos, and threes, and all these things that we have in our great product on our great service. Just trust me. And it's like, no, there has to be so many more layers of trust built in there. Exactly as you just said. So I completely agree with you, Cynthia. Thank you so much for this great conversation. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you or product side as well?
And sorry, what was the question?
Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you or product side?
Oh, absolutely. You can go to our website, productside.com. You will see information there. Sign up for the newsletter. There's webinars. There's really great ones coming up. And in fact, you can go through there and see about our blueprint, our playbook, templates, things in there that will be useful. So that's one. And on LinkedIn, you can just find me, Cynthia Petti, and you will find me.
Amazing. Thank you. Cynthia, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.